Yeah, thanks for the good luck. Morning, everybody! How is everybody doing? Hope you're ready for some Saturday morning gargoyles. The good gargoyles. No, I'm just kidding. That cartoon's pretty good. So, hello everybody. I am RogueLink, and this is Gargoyles Quest Makiyamura Gaiden, i.e. Ghosts and Goblins side story. We're also going to be playing the second Gargoyles quest, the little-known Game Boy remake, a little afterwards. But without further ado, let's get this party started. 3, 2, 1, go! So this is Gargoyles Quest. It is, like I was saying earlier, it's a side story to Ghosts and Goblins, where we're playing as Firebrand, who is a red Aramer, or red armored gargoyle. Red gargoyle, just in general. And Ghosts and Goblins is immediately going to have a showing with this excellent intro theme. But completely different from Ghosts and Goblins, Gargoyles Quest is a platformer. There's actually 3 games in this series: Gargoyles Quest 1, Gargoyles Quest 2, and Demon's Crest. And here we're playing as some pretty straightforward jumps here. Here we're playing as Firebrand, who currently is getting called back to the Demon Realm in order to save people. Taking some unfortunate damage there, but that's okay. Whoop. Usually we damage boost through there, but I unfortunately took a hit. Gotta be real careful with that fish. And up. And down. Nice. And bosses are pretty straightforward. This one you just cling to the wall and mash. And then the giant Magikarp is dead. And that's it for stage 1. So this game's pretty notorious for its high difficulty. It's also notorious for its absolutely absurd random encounters, which right on cue? Ah, nope. I almost looked really cool there. There we go. So this game has random encounters, which makes it super annoying to speedrun. Unfortunately, they do nothing but lose you time. And winning a random encounter actually takes longer than losing a random encounter, because the victory fanfare takes so long. So even if you had a button to instantly win a random encounter, it would lose you some time. Is Japanese the Demon Realm's local language? Let's go with yes. Ooh, this one's actually a really bad random encounter. I'm gonna take it pretty safe. Usually we damage boost early to kill those first 2, but for a bit of safety, I'm gonna use the damage boost for these last 2. It's a little more straightforward. But yes, these random encounters make the grind kind of difficult. Well, not kind of difficult, more kind of annoying than anything else. I've spent a lot of time with this game, though, and I have a pretty good setup for basically every random encounter. This is our good friend Jark. He is going to be giving us the first upgrade of the game, the Nail of the Spectre. So we're talking to our good friend Jark here, and agreeing to pick up the Gremlin Stick, which we need in order to restore his power so he can send us on our way. Now, there's actually a trick here that the task does, which we've called Jarkless, where you can actually skip talking to Jark and just get straight into here, making that first jump without the upgrade. Obviously, it's supposed to require the upgrade, but you can get around it. Unfortunately, Jarkless is only faster in the tasks because of shenanigans in the next level, which Monster Tower is easily the hardest level of this game. So, making that harder is not a good idea. Also, pretty good encounters so far. We've only had 2 random encounters. 2 forced encounters, but 2 random ones. These forced ones we have to do every time. And we're actually going to be taking this encounter specifically for some new routing and setting up for a death warp. And here we go, kicking off Monster Tower. A lot of really tight jumps. And again, we kind of need to be at full health for this boss, similar to the last one. So there's a lot of tension here, taking it a little slower than usual to try and make sure we maintain that precious, precious life. There we go. Unfortunate there, but that fly is literally the worst. Here, a nice little glitch. We're going to keep that platform halfway on screen, so instead of it going all the way to the left, it's going to stop a little bit early. Heading around. And this right here is the only spot we have to restore life, and it requires taking a death to do so. So we have to get all the way through the rest of the stage without taking any damage in order to have an optimal boss fight. Send the platform back to the left because it hits the edge of the screen. And here we go. So I'm just going to focus for this part, because this boss is super rough, and I'd rather not heck it up. Shoot! And we did it! Fantastic. Perfect 4 eyes. So ahead, less than 7 minutes coming out of the Monster Tower is actually really good. So here we get the Gremlin Stick, a life, which ironically this is the one place a life would slow us down. And we're setting up for a death warp here. So if we took any encounters, we'd freely take the deaths. Because this is a marathon, usually I would have used at least one of my lives on one of the earlier 2 encounters that we found, but just in case we need to heal inside Monster Tower, I opted not to do that. Fortunately, the death warp still saves a little bit of time if you have to peel through all of your lives. Ideally, we wouldn't have to, but... Wow! Like, we're getting really good luck here. Now, most importantly, we need to remember to use the Gremlin Stick on Jark here. Not just talk to him. And he tells us the king is in danger. And we get the theme of the MacGuffins in this game, a candle. Oh, this is actually really good luck. So if we were at 0, so this is the point where we need to die. Because it's faster to take deaths and warp back to the Monster Tower than it is to do all these fights. Yeah, this is simultaneously good luck and bad luck. Like, we didn't get the encounters so that we couldn't take the deaths earlier, but we also didn't get the encounters. And that room's actually the fastest to do it in. So now that Death Warps it's here, and since we killed this boss, we get right up here, which is way faster than going through the level. Here we're finally getting a defensive upgrade, the Dragon Armor. Talking to this friend right here. Going through another transitional stage, which the game has a couple of these. One of them was the sort of fire area that we went through before the Monster Tower. There's this little underground water section. There's also a bridge coming up. And now would be a good time to talk about a trick called Bridge Skip. So I'm going to be picking up a safety save here. This guy's literally the worst. Only gets in my way when I'm going around him. So we're grabbing a safety save here, so that we don't have to backtrack too far. But in the world record, as well as in the TAS, we actually skip this next wing power-up. Oh my god. I kind of wish I didn't take the safety save and this wasn't a marathon, because, oh boy, we're almost on world record pace. And now that we have 3 life, we can damage boost on those shots. So Bridge Skip is great because it skips this encounter that would happen right here, but we have to make some really tough jumps, so I'm going to focus here real quick. Not quite. No, not even close. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get there. Neither of those were actually very good at all. So, rip world record, that's okay. But generally speaking, Bridge Skip is getting over that gap just barely without the wing upgrade, which we're actually going to be picking up right here instead. So this is the usual marathon route. This is what most people do in their runs, because Bridge Skip is an absurd trick. I unfortunately got it in practice right before we went live while we were doing setup, but I guess the marathon first Bridge Skip is going to have to wait for another day. But that's alright. We're still getting some pretty ridiculous RNG. We're going to be a decent way underestimate even with that death. That death loses about a minute or so. That skip is not impossible. It's just... Oh, wait, normal human beings. Yes. Thank you for the good luck, Vevictus. Always appreciated. So now you kind of get to see what Bridge Skip would skip. It skips this fight right here, which if you mash fast enough, you can just sit still through that one. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. And now you can see just how easy this jump is. There we go. And usually this whole thing is made infinitely worse by having no wing upgrade. And the only reason we're actually able to go for that Bridge Skip trick is because at the end of the next boss, we actually get a wing upgrade and a jump upgrade, which overrides. It's not just a bump up. It actually gives us the upgrade that we're supposed to have at that point. If we didn't get that upgrade, Bridge Skip would actually be impossible, because it'd make future jumps in the game not possible. Mere mortals sit in awe. here we've got the King's Palace level, and you can't really see them. Like, I'm flying over one right now, but there's actually these hidden switches everywhere. Ooh, rough. Oh, there we go. I actually accidentally hit one. Had a little bit of weird lag there because my shot lag wasn't what I was expecting, so I ended up hitting that switch on accident, unfortunately. Yeah, imagine a world where there's first try bridge skip, am I right? Here we're flying up and over, killing this gargoyle friend, just powering through him. New minor time save there, although I totally hecked it up, so it's not actually a time save. And unfortunately dropped a little too low on that one as well. But fortunately, this boss is super easy. You don't even take damage. Just sit, chill, and mash. And that's the King's Palace. So this is the king right here. We have to use that Gremlin Stick on them in order to restore a small piece of their power. And this is that upgrade that I was talking about. This gives us a wing strength upgrade as well as a jump upgrade. And going through, continuing to get no encounters like an absolute beast, which of course, every time, I swear, this... So the thing with Gargoyles quest cards, and Tina Hacks can confirm this, Gargoyles quest cards are sentient, and as soon as you start talking about random encounters, it gives you a random encounter. Guaranteed. 100%. There we go. So getting a few encounters, but I think we're up to 6, which still isn't too bad. Pretty good for marathon luck. And, ooh, wow, one on the way to the pit as well. So now this split has a ton of encounters. There we go. Damage boosting off of the floor, sneaking behind the chariots, and then getting in some damage. There we go. So this is easily my favorite level of this game. It's got this super crazy drop in the beginning, which is just a ton of fun. Unfortunately, I got tagged. We'll get the backup health later. And you do have to be at full health for this boss. I was fortunately trying to cut that corner a little too tightly. And ended up taking a damage. This is another one of those bosses where you have to be at full health. But not only do you have to be at full health for this boss, you actually have one iframe window in order to pull it off, which ends up actually being something ludicrous like 8 frames. It's somewhere between like 8 or 18 frames in order to do this boss one cycle. You can get a little bit of extra damage in here. Oh, unfortunately I shot a little early, but that's okay. You just sit still and mash, and as long as you stay there, he'll start going back and forth on top of you, but it's a pretty tight frame window regardless. And there we go, another level down, and this time we're getting the claw upgrade, which is actually a pretty big attack boost. Not only can we have 2 shots in the air at once like our previous attack upgrade, but we can also shoot it against spikes on walls in order to climb up them. So we're going to want to immediately swap to the claw. Although because of the mashing, the difference between the claw and the Brick Breaker, which is the second attack, that's the attack that I haven't really been swapping back and forth, but that's the attack that's actually allowed me to break through those blocks that I was breaking through. Fortunately, you don't really have to swap back and forth between your different types of abilities until the very end, because boy is it slow. In fact, a lot of the new routing for this game the last couple of years, when Zorlax got a hold of this game, he basically rerouted the whole final stage so that we swap weapons way, way less. Going from 6 swaps, 6, 7 swaps, something like that, to only 2. Which each swap takes a huge amount of time. So cutting even one of those out of a run is a massive time save. And we're actually going to see the power of the claw in this little transition level, so getting a glimpse of what it's good for right out of the gate. Using our increased wing strength to just fly over here. Use the claw so we can jump off that wall. And totally hitting that spike on purpose, I swear. This is our good friend Majora from Majora's Mask. Now, the actual character's name is Margareta, something like that. There's a T in there somewhere at the end. We're actually getting a massive plot dump here, where we find out that we are, in fact, the main character of an RPG. We have, in fact, been the Force, the Gargoyle that they've been talking about this whole time, the Red Blaze. Got him. And since we have 4 health, we can just damage boost through the chariots. We don't have to worry about taking time on the spikes like we did before. You do have to take 1 bit of damage from the spikes, but otherwise, not too bad. Another little transition level here. Margareta? Oh, that's way better than Majora. I should have been calling them Margareta this whole time. I'm a fool. So another pretty clean level. We're going to be damage boosting off the lava here since we can afford to take the 2 damage now, unlike the last time we had lava. And just real quick, straightforward. Technically, you can save a tiny bit of time by going under the stage there, but I'd have never seen someone actually go for that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Although there's at least one swag going under the level that we will be doing later that technically saves half a second, but only if you do it absolute first try. It's Gargoyle's Quest Marathon tradition to go for it. During races, too. There we go. So not quite as intended, but using the slight vertical boost from the damage in order to get on top of that spike. And here, we're going to be heading into Rushafell's Castle. Now, there's some new tech that we found in Rushafell's Castle, which is actually super duper spicy. I've shown it off on my channel, but this is the first time that it's really been shown off to a larger audience. But long story short, there's a environmental hazard in this game that pulls you into the wall. And we've been trying to find a zip involving this hazard for a very, very long time. And one of our newer runners, Marsh, actually managed to find a way to do a zip. So So taking this super slow so I can show it off for you. We're going to go in here, which pulls us into the wall, which gets the level into this weird state, which we can't actually progress from. But if we actually jump up here, we reload it a little bit. Watch out for the frog. Kill the frog, and now the whole level has shifted up slightly, giving us basically no lag and basically no obstacles. Now, the problem with this is that it makes the boss impossible, and it actually makes getting, makes the boss impossible. So what we do is we grab the checkpoint right here, because the checkpoint's in the same spot under the void, and then reload the level, which allows us to finish the stage normally. And this is new tech that was found within the last several weeks. I was actually fleshing it out on a plane heading to GDQ just a couple weeks ago. Oop, whoops, that was dumb. And here, because I'm paranoid, we're going to go for the slow quick kill. There's the quick kill where we actually do it underneath and spawn next to his head. But the slow quick kill just goes for that little setup, despawning his big attack, and making it nice and easy. Big cheats. So now we are at our super overpowered state. We have, also for those keeping score, we pass world record now. Because world record has first try bridge skip, no safety save, and 6 encounters in for RNG, so it's pretty good. And now, since we have infinite wing strength, we can do something really cool here. So we can actually, if I can get it set up, there we go. So there's a, I think 2 or 3 pixel window where you can actually still be on the stage, but your collision is under the stage. But the actual thing that determines if you're dead is still on the stage. Since we have infinite wing strength, we can just fly under this level and hold right. Next level, not so much. So this is the level I was talking about earlier where it got rerouted to have a lot less weapon swaps. So we have to use Brick Breaker for Rush of Hell and to enter the Rush of Hell fight. So very first swap, number 1, switching to the Claw here. And that's going to allow us to do a bunch of jumps. Now usually we would have to rapidly swap back and forth between the Claw and the Brick Breaker over and over and over again. But thanks to some fancy routing, we're actually going to prevent most of those. Usually I would damage boost off the ceiling there, but for some extra safety, I'm going to be holding on to that extra health. And that swap right there should be the last weapon swap of the game. Damage boosting off of those spikes so that we can jump on the lava. Ooh, that was close. Bit spicy, but that's okay. Heading up and around. Breaking these blocks. Then we're going to be taking another damage boost right here. So, ooh, that's rough. That's okay. I should have gone for a second attempt, but we're just going to take it safe. And then we have to swap back and forth, so ideally I would have made that jump. Get through here. And this jump you can just make for some reason. And then one last damage boost on these spikes gets us up here. So we had to do one unfortunate extra swap there, but otherwise not too bad. Now, this is the final boss of the game. He actually offers you a chance to join him, but this is actually the only time we have to say no to this prompt. if you say yes, you actually enter this fight with no power-ups or anything. Uh-oh. Well, that was stupid. There we go. So, unfortunately, I was trying to set up vertically and accidentally took a wee bit of damage, but that's okay. We just end up coming right here. I think I was fine, but I was being a little overly cautious. Even if we did die here, we just go to the start of the room, so we're not actually losing any time. So again, in the theme of not swapping, it's actually possible to kill this guy with the Brick Breaker, and it actually ends up saving time just sticking with the Brick Breaker and forcing our way through. And that's the final boss. Now just a few more bits of dialogue to go through, and that's the game. This is the king congratulating us on our victory and saying, oh hey, that human world's pretty new, you can have that, go take it over. So, and that sets us up for Ghosts and Goblins. And that's Gargoyles Quest 1, everybody. And there's all this, I actually do not remember what this text says. To be perfectly honest, I have no idea what this text says. I think it says something like, Firebrand goes to the human realm and then sees some scrub named Arthur. And it's just like, yo, Arthur, you should die. And Arthur's like, okay. And then Arthur dies repeatedly with absolutely no game involving Arthur whatsoever. Because Firebrand's the main character, right? Anyway, so a little unfortunate there in terms of some damage. Took that extra death at the end, which loses 45 seconds, but still just underestimate even with the failed bridge skip attempt. And stay tuned for Gargoyles Quest 2 coming up. Also, the end.